this video might be beneficial to you if you want to get the ideas very quickly. So, make $70 in 5 hours. At what average rate am I earning money during that time? People had trouble answering this because there's some unfamiliar terminology. If I asked how many dollars per hour, everybody pretty quickly came up with $14 per hour, calculated by dividing $70 by 5 hours, which means we divide the 70 by the 5 and the dollars by the hours, giving us $14 over hours, which means $14 per hour. Another question, if I travel 300 miles in 6 hours, what's the average rate at which my position changes with respect to time? Now there's a little caveat with that I'm not going to mention, because a change in position in a multi-dimensional space or plane is a little bit tricky, but we're not going to make that distinction here. Okay, so travel 300 miles in 6 hours. The average rate at which position changes with respect to time is, well, now I'm beginning to give us a definition of average rate of change. The average rate at which one quantity changes with respect to another is average rate is change in the first quantity divided by change in the second quantity. I'll mention that everybody told me 50 miles per hour almost instantly before I finished writing this. But we want to see a more general definition of average rate of change, again, where the situation isn't totally intuitive. So there's the average rate, change in the first quantity divided by change in the second quantity. Using this idea, which is an intuitive idea but fairly easy to understand, we say that the average rate is change in position divided by change in time. Change in the first quantity, which is position, change in the second quantity, which is time, which is 300 miles divided by 6 hours, and so forth, and everybody understands that. Okay? Then I define the average rate of change of y with respect to x on an interval. We specify an interval. You know, we have an interval here, it's a 7-hour interval. Here we have a 6-hour interval. And I almost did a 5-hour interval, so when we get down to 0, I'm not sure what we're going to do. Anyhow, the average rate of change of y with respect to x on an interval is the average rate, which is change in y divided by change in x. And we're going to go on and see how this can be applied if we have a graph of some y quantity versus some x quantity.